From a health standpoint, we know that exercise, the data will suggest that exercise, even if you're not eating correctly, it can still help our biomarkers. So just going to the gym and doing anything is going to help your heart rate, your cholesterol, your immune system, which right now I'm sure we all want our immune systems to be top of our game. So basically what that means from a nutrition standpoint, we know that that's 80% of everything. And fitness is like 25 to 20%. But by just exercising, we can still help our markers. So, or even if we're not losing weight, if we're just doing something and getting the blood flow moving through exercise, we are becoming better humans. And that's kind of what I really like to tell people is by exercising, we can help prevent disease. We will help. And then if we start building some muscle mass, like later in life, one of the biggest issues is falls. So if we're stronger bones, stronger bone density, stronger muscle mass, we won't fall as much, which is a breaking of the hip is like my grandfather and my grandmother just had hip replacement from that reason alone. So if we can help prevent that earlier, we're going to be such better humans in the long run. So then, like I said, we're also working with the immune system because coming into the gym, being exposed to what we call metabolic stress is really important to the immune system function. So we want to challenge ourselves. We want to be doing things that is uncomfortable and have that metabolic stress, which will enhance our immune system. So that's something that I really try and tell all the population is by doing something and having that tough workout, we are becoming better the next day. So it's all about becoming better the next day, a better version of ourselves each and every day. So that's why it's important just from becoming, so it's not all about aesthetics. People think going to the gym, a lot of time they have this aesthetic goal of like what they want to look like outside, but how about what we want to look like inside? And I know that's kind of hard to get people to realize, but that's the main focus here is how do we become better on the inside? It's not always just about how we look. Now we do know that losing weight will improve our biomarkers significantly, but that's just one part of the puzzle. It's about doing something first. So let's see what's next. Real quick, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so as I talked about becoming, better versions of ourselves, exercise, this is just exercise. So not even technically losing weight. So just movement, what I like to call it, lowers cancer risk because you are probably going to reduce more hormones and you're going to have a better function of your insulin and your cortisol levels as well. Strengthens the immune system, which I already said. So we can help, I don't want to use the word prevent, but it lowers our risk of some cancers by exercising. So I'm using the word so a lot, but anyway, sorry, not tough crowd. Geez, okay. That's something that I like to focus on my older gen pop is trying to help with disease. And that's always in the back of everybody's mind once you hit a certain age. So if we can help do everything that we're doing to keep that at bay, I feel like that gives people, I always say that fitness and exercise is our sword. It's a sword with everything. So we can fight off what we need to fight off by doing what we can do. It's the one thing that we control. We can go to the gym. We can go for a walk. We don't know if we're going to get cancer or heart disease, but we know what we can do to keep it at bay. So let's do what we can do. Let's control what we control and keep the point. So that's a main focus of mine as well. So I guess moving on to the next slide, still on this is that this is just this is data, meta-analysis on cancer and how it shows that if you pull the 1 million individuals in 2016, that through the meta-analysis of the biopsies, that we have like a 13% reduced risk of bladder cancer. We have a 12 to 21% lower risk of breast cancer. So, and 19% lower risk of colon cancer. So just showing you the data that's out there, and that was from a 2016 study, but just kind of showing you that exercise does help reduce that. On to the next slide, please. Thank you. So now we're getting into a little bit of what I had talked about, but a little bit more of the weight control. So yes, it's calories in, calories out. We all know that. So if you're expending calories and you're not eating them back, we're probably going to be losing weight, which will obviously help our biomarkers. But additional to that, we can reduce our risk of heart disease because by working out, you are making your heart pump, and we're going to be helping our stroke volume, which is really important. So that's something that is highly important. And then it'll help manage our blood sugar and our insulin levels. That is done through essentially while you're working out, your body is consuming glucose and using it the proper way. And that's what we want to do. We want to be turning glycogen into fuel and burning that off, as opposed to what I'm doing right now and sitting at a chair. So that's really good, and it kind of trains our body for later in the day as well. So that's kind of how I like when you train or when you work out, you're also training your body on how to operate efficiently. And that's what we like to do. That's how we keep these things at bay. Now, one of the most important things for me, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say this, like, working out is their therapy or it's their stress reliever. Well, that's actually scientifically proven that you release good hormones after your workout that makes you feel good. So a lot of people with all sorts of diseases that make them feel down or even depression, exercise is huge, and ideally exercising outside, because being in nature and with working out, so going on a hike, has been proven to significantly improve your mood. So if you can combine those two with that type of pop, then we're killing two birds with one stone. So I really like that a lot. But if not, if it's a rainy day, still working out and releasing those like oxytocin and serotonin later in the day, like that's huge for regulating our hormones. How can I make, all I was going to say was, it says it increases your lifespan, but that's because we're keeping other things at bay that would eventually, be your demise, unfortunately. So if we can keep that at bay by exercising, we're going to live longer. But I always say too, there's two different ways of thinking about that. Like living longer is one way, sure, but it's also living longer, healthier, because we don't want to live to 80, but our last 10 years be awful. We want to live to 80 or 90 or 100 and enjoy every minute of it. So if we live to 80, but 20 years is not good, then you really only live, you know what I mean? Hopefully I'm explaining that correctly. How can I make exercise a part of my regular routine? Okay, this is a trickle-down effect. So you guys are all very intelligent. People first say, people try and say that habits start in 21 days. That's not actually true. It does take about 90 days to really enforce a habit. But if you can do things for 21 days, it does start to feel weird. It starts to feel like you're not doing it when you should be. So that's good, but it's not technically a habit. So the first thing we want to do is just start doing things that are abnormal to us. So like the first thing on the slide says, maybe take the stairs instead of the elevator. Well, if you're telling your brain and you're making those neurons and those signals that, hey, we're going to start taking the stairs, that now you're moving more. And now if you do that and you keep doing that longer and longer, now it's going to become a habit. So that's just one way. Parking farther away. A lot of people like to get the closest parking spot, even though it takes 10 minutes to get there. Park farther away and walk. Now you just included a lot more movement into your day, just every single day. Another cool thing is people tend to stay on a program or a lifestyle if they're doing it with people, so like with their spouse or with their family, and they make it a challenge of some sort. I am a little bit wary of challenges because sometimes people think when the challenge is over, then it's all done. It's a lifestyle change. So that's how I promote my challenges, is this is a kickstart to the next challenge. So one challenge after another, because life is a challenge. So let's not just look at it as a, 3-week or 3-month challenge. No, this is just a kickstart to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And then the thing that people really see, and this happens with anything, is we want to track our progress, because if you're seeing results, even in your weight or your heart rate and stuff like that, and if you're writing it down and you're seeing it, you tend to stick with it longer because it's a visual, like, oh wow, I really did do that. I got better from one day to the 120th day. And that's really important. So I always have people take pictures. We take their BMR, that means like their lean body mass. We take their heart rate, their VO2 max, to see if everything is improving throughout the process, so they can see, even if they don't feel like they look significantly better in the mirror, which they probably will after 120 days, they know that they became a better human. So that's what I like to do. Next slide, please. I'm a fast talker, I guess. Importance of nutrition. So I am a certified nutrition coach. So I am allowed to help with people reaching their goals through micro and macronutrients. I cannot help with, like, if you have diabetes, I can't assist with that. Or if you have any disease, I can't help. So, but if you come into the gym or reach out to me and ask me to help you lose weight, I can assist you with that, because as we know, losing weight is really what helps hypertension, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes, those things. So as you can see, that obesity is going up. I don't like it. Is the only problem is the way a lot of people use the obesity is through BMI, which is, according to BMI, I'm like obese. So that's a little off, but still it's not ideal. So as you can see a stat here, about 1/3 of US adults are considered obese, and 17% of our children are, or adolescents aged to 2 through 19 are also obese. So we don't want that path to continue. But that's kind of just getting information out there and teaching people who come into the gym about nutrition and how you cannot outwork a bad diet, but you can out eat a good workout. So you can work out for an hour and feel awesome and then go eat a pizza, and technically you just negated what you just did. But you can't eat the pizza every day and continually outwork it. So that's why nutrition is the cornerstone to everything. At least if your goal is to be in a good weight balance. If your goal is just to work out to eat because you know that just doing movement is going to help us in some way, I mean, you can't change everybody's mind. You do what you can. So, but at some point, nutrition is the cornerstone of everything. And that's kind of what I've been working on with a lot of my people right now is, hey, I can have the best workout in the world, but if I'm just out eating it, it doesn't make a difference in terms of weight loss goals. So just keep that in mind. Let's go on to the next slide, please. So this is just another data chart showing like our percentage of US adults who are obese based on a height and weight survey. So remember, this is by the CDC, and that's just BMI. And the reason why I bring up BMI is because, like, I'm obese, but I'm an athlete. So my lean body mass is much higher than the average individual. So BMI is not the best way to go about it, because really it's body fat percentage, and this is just BMI. So a lot of professional football players that are not like the linemen, just running backs, they're considered obese from a BMI standpoint. So I like to go, that's basic body fat. And we have a tool that here at our gym that does track body fat and lean body mass. So maybe your weight stayed the same, but you drop 2 pounds of fat and gain 2 pounds of muscle. Great. That's awesome, because muscle consumes fat. It's the only thing that really can consume fat because it consumes oxygen, and that's awesome. So not saying that these are far off. This chart is very accurate by the CDC, but it's only using one way to do it. So you gotta be a little careful with that. That's all. So let's move on to the next one, please. So as you can see, it is using the BMI, which is the body mass index, which as long as it's a relevant way of tracking it and it's going up, that means it is going up, because I'm assuming that tons of people are not just becoming bodybuilders. So as long as you're using a relevant statistic from this 2 year to this, I couldn't find this year's 2 year, but when I was looking this up, but it is going up, which is not good, because this is the same way of tracking it. As you know, relevant tracking is what's important. So if this one's BMI and this one's BMI, then we know it is on an increased trend, and that's not ideal. So we do want to try and inform the public that, this is not good, because it leads to heart disease, it leads to hypertension, it leads to cancer, it leads to all these things that we are trying to kick out of our, that's why this is so important in our communities. Next slide, please. Okay, so this has been kind of my whole, as of recently, I'm sure you guys can imagine, my whole last 3 months has been, exercise and COVID, because that's what's on everybody's mind right now. So I had to use the data that was given to me, but I do have a lot of anecdotal evidence that suggests otherwise. And what I mean by that is exercise may not prevent you from catching a virus, but if we are every day stressing our metabolic system, we do have a much better chance of fighting it off. And there is testing being done on that, and I know I only have anecdotal evidence right now, so I didn't want to put that on the slide, but I told you that by giving ourselves metabolic stress, we are then having to recover the next day, which makes our immune system stronger. There's good reason to believe that by doing that, you will be able to fight off a virus, or at least the symptoms will be a lot less severe, because right now there's studies out there tracking metabolic dysfunction and the symptom strength of COVID. And so far, your football athletes, your college athletes who have gotten this are fine. And the ones who are not working out are the ones getting very sick. Now, it's anecdotal right now, but I'm sure you see on ESPN, 30 more athletes got it, 50 more athletes got it, but they're all okay because they're in good they're metabolically stressed every day. They're able to fight this thing off. So like I said, it's anecdotal. There's no, the data is not there yet, but I would like to see in 6 months what the data suggests on that. Yeah, we know real quick, like obviously alcohol is going to hurt our immune system. Obviously, doing things like not getting enough sleep is going to hurt our immune system. So it's not all linked to exercise. We do have a lot of bad daily habits in our lifestyle, like working too much, being too stressed. But exercise can maybe help regulate your sleep pattern, maybe relieve stress. So there's also that component as well. We can move on to the next one. So the first slide I think is very, very important. Sometimes we force ourselves to be sick. And what I mean by that is through anxiety and depression. We can give ourselves a sickness that wasn't there before. So if we're exercising and we're easing our anxiety and depression through exercise, we won't feel that. So the WHO recommends 150 minutes a week. I think that's realistic. 30 minutes, five times a week. Now we can go outside. I was doing garage workouts for 3 months when I didn't have it. Yeah, I have them on my Instagram actually, and it's called Whiteboard Chronicles. So it was really cool. I was sharing with a bunch of people all these body weight workouts that people were really loving. Obviously you can walk, you can do online personal training from your home, you can use bands. So if we're not ready to go back to a gym, we have several different options to continue working out. And actually, I always saw this as I think adversity creates success. That's how I always feel, that adversity will create success. So now I know that I can train people in any situation. I can work out myself in any situation I never thought possible. I had to come up with routines that I never thought imaginable, but it just made me and others, at a better spot now. Like when I go on vacation, there is no excuse for me not to work out because I worked out during a pandemic. So I got it down. Me and my wife, we're going to go to the mountains in September. We're going to be working out. I got it all worked out. So cool. All right, next slide, please. Conclusion, health and fitness is vital to the component of any business, community, or household for diseases, for heart, keeping our weight down, for our immune system, our heart disease, hypertension, cancer. All the above will really help our entire community feel safe, feel happy, not have that anxiety, depression. So I guess, yeah, come, I don't know who lives, how close you guys are, but come and check me out at Retro. I would love to talk to you guys in person when safe to do so. That being said, I think I spoke a little fast, but do we have, I'm a fast talker, I apologize. I gotta get so much done in a little period of time with my clients. So I've been trained that way. That being said, is there like a Q&A now? I believe, is that right? I see people are muted, so I don't know.
Yes, there's a Q&A.
Okay, cool.
If anybody has, it was a lot. It was really good. It was a lot of information.
Thank you. Yeah, I know it was a lot, but probably spoke a little too fast too. I apologize for that, but it's a lot of information, but it is easy to digest. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of what I said, there is a lot of data, there's a lot of anecdotal data, but it's almost like, common sense to a certain degree. If we are working out and making ourselves feel good, we will probably be good, is the best way to put it. So it's a lot of information, but it's easily digested information, in my opinion. I think hopefully you guys feel the same way.
And how are
I thought
you?
it was great information, and I'm one of the marketing people in CABA, and I will tell you a lot of what you were saying is very consistent with marketing that comes out of public health, which is also known as social marketing, not to be confused with social media. But if we can just get people to do something, and I know I tend to be kind of an all or nothing. Like, I'm going to do the perfect diet. I'm going to do a great workout. And I'm going to do it for 10 days, as opposed to what you were saying in terms of a lifestyle change. But I know the science backs up that behavior actually precedes attitude change. And that's usually, we think it's the opposite. Like, it's the first of the year and now my attitudes change. It's the opposite. It's you have to start a healthy behavior.
I'm glad you said that real quick. That's kind of why, like that 21-day thing that people hear about, that's your attitude. That's why it takes 90 days for a new habit to actually kick in, because now it's a behavior. So you can have a good attitude about something for 21 days. Sure, we can all do that. But once it's 90 days, 3 months doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a long time, but in a mesocycle, it is. 3 months is a long time. If you're doing the same thing for 3 months, you're not going to just be able to walk away from that without your behavior being changed. So I thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Well, it was helpful to hear you say it. I mean, there was a lot of really good stuff in there, and the fact that you're looking at the effects on our immune system, as I think we've all been a little bit confused about that. Like, am I hurting my immune system to exercise? Because I'm going to have to go in this recovery phase. Am I actually hurting myself? And you're saying something very different.
I think I will say this to answer that question. If you've never gone to the gym in your life, just hear me out. Don't start right now, not because of the exercise component, but because of being around things that are not normal to your body. However, working out outside or going for that long walk and pushing yourself a little bit longer than you're not used to metabolically change yourself, right now would be a great time to do that. You're only going to help yourself in the long run doing that. But yes, don't start going to a gym and putting yourself with outside things that you're not used to, outside pathogens that your body's not used to, but pushing yourself that extra 5 minutes to stress your metabolic, that stress will be life-changing right now. So I hope that helped a little bit.
And you said better outside than inside.
So from a attitude perspective, it's proven that being around sunlight and trees and foliage while exercising, which is why people get addicted to running. Like, it's an addiction, which is great. It's a great addiction, honestly. But that's why people get so addicted to it, because you're putting the two best things for our physiology, like, together. So if you go for a long walk outside as opposed to the treadmill, you will feel significantly different by walking outside, because you're getting both benefits. You're getting the exercise component and you're getting that nature outside sunlight, whatever it is, component, which it just helps our anxiety and our depression to a whole new level. That's why people have like runner's high. It's just combining the two things that our bodies really want, which is to be pushed a little bit and the outside, because we are inside probably we sleep and we're inside at work. I mean, how long are we outside? 1 hour a day, maybe. So just to put that in perspective a little bit.
Well, Sharon's riding her bike all the time.
I know. I was just going to say that. Well, I have we have a treadmill in the house, and I have my bike I look forward to it all day, and I ride. I get on my bike around 6 o'clock at night, and I ride for about 45 minutes, and it's amazing. I mean, of course I've gotten to meet a lot of my neighbors that I've lived in this house I hate to say this, I've lived in this house for 25 years, and there are a lot of people that I don't know. So that's cool too,
Yeah. So you have some you have some anecdotal evidence of your own that suggests that going on that bike ride outside, mixing those two components is just life-changing. So
it really is. And I come back home and it's a lot of, especially during the really the worst part of the pandemic, which I don't know if there was a worst part because it was
I know.
But it's still bad. But it's just like I feel so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me and my dog go for long 2 to 3 mile treks about 3 or 4 times a week. So that's how I get it in as well. Yeah, he loves it. I love it. We both love it. So it's good. But you're right. In Florida, we can't start until like 7 with him. So, but still, it's fun.
Yes. Yeah. We have to get acclimated. I know my dog doesn't want to go out at hardly at all right now.
I know.
Yeah, with this heat and with the Sahara dust and everything. But
I know.
it was.
Uh-oh. She
Sherry
froze.
just freeze. Peter's had a question.
I've heard it said that, and you said something similar today, that you can't out-exercise a bad diet. So I power walk about 3 or so times a week, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, but I still can't lose weight. So I know diets aren't the best thing. So what would be a couple hints from the intake side to help lose weight?
So I guess a couple hints would be, without looking at what you're eating, try and make sure that you're filling up on fruits and vegetables and protein first. Because a lot of people are afraid to eat fruit, and we want to eat our fruits. They have a great antioxidants, and they actually will speed up our metabolism. Protein is ideal. There's a heat component to protein that is awesome. Heat shock proteins that your body has to go through when they break it down, but also it helps repair everything, and it's good for our immune system. And the last thing is try, I don't know your habits, but we want to try and structure like 3 good meals instead of, yes, people who do it correctly, but it's hard to really promote that, will kind of graze, but you want to eat a meal and tell yourself that I'm eating my protein, my fruits, my vegetables, maybe some other stuff, and then don't eat for a while. Move on to the next thing. So that would be structured 3 meals, be getting your protein, your fruits, and your veggies in, and without actually looking at it and seeing what you're doing and all your habits, those are like my 3 go-to tips. So fruits and veggies, protein, structured 3 meals.
Thank you.
The last thing in addition to is you can portion control, because you can overeat anything. You can overdrink water. So portion control. All right.
I think something, and I don't know if this is relevant to Peter's question, but Jennifer Jenkins is with us on the line, but I'm not sure if she's able to talk. But she is the owner of Rooted Holistic Health, and I did kind of a reset after COVID. I mean, oddly, I'd gone to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, yay, you've lost weight." Well, guess why? Because I'd lost muscle. So I knew I needed to do something healthy, and my body didn't. Her first 10-day challenge was all about getting your inflammation down. Mm. And so what I was finding is I was not losing weight until I had gotten some of the inflammation out of my body. And then, and right now I'm really happy. I can't wait till Cabba gets back together in person, because I'm going to be in a different dress size. Good. But it took, Peter, for me, I was doing a lot of the right things, and I felt like I had a pretty healthy diet, but there were things that I was either allergic to or things that were very pro-inflammatory in my diet. So I just have found I'm very reactive, and I have to have a very low inflammatory diet.
So I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things that I do that's why I said, without really knowing somebody, I got allergens tested for meat. So I know what foods to stay away from, what foods I handle correctly. So that would be something that I would if someone is serious, that would be the first step, is let's see what foods you're allergic to, what foods you think are good for you, but maybe are not for your body. For example, me, I am allergic to, which are extremely nutritious in most people's diets, egg yolk. So the yolk of an egg I can't eat. So I remove those from my diet. I'm allergic to legumes, which a lot of people have problems with the beans, but what people don't realize is a peanut is a legume. So I had to remove peanut butter and peanuts, which for a lot of people are fine and healthy, but I'm fine with tree nuts. So almonds, I'm good. Peanuts, no good. And I would tell a huge difference in my digestion, a huge difference in my bloat, a huge difference in my joints. That's why is when someone asks me, tell me, like, what are some tips? I try and just stick with the very basic, because then you can branch off however far you want to from there. So thank you.
Any suggestions where we would go get our allergies tested?
That's a good question. If you have like a doctor, does any they should be able to lead you in the right direction. That's what I did, honestly. I went to my doctor, I asked for an allergen test, they pricked me 50 times, and I found out, oh, I'm good with this, oh, I'm bad with that. Okay, I had dairy was my number 1 allergen, which is not uncommon. My number 2 was egg yolk, my number 3 was legumes, and my 4th one, which was weird, was hazelnut, but I'm not really eating hazelnuts, so it's all right. That's a weird one. I mean, all right. So stick away from hazelnuts, but almonds and walnuts and Brazil nuts, I'm fine with. So.
Well, that's helpful. That's very helpful. I mean, I'm going to do that because because a lot of the stuff in Jennifer's protocol was pulling the dairy out, pulling the gluten out.
Yeah.
Eggs weren't on her protocol, so I just didn't eat them, but I did start adding eggs back in, and I have not added coffee back in. I have not, and that one was really hard at first. I've definitely not added gluten back in.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to kind of figure out my allergies on my own. It's like, okay, I've been off this. Now I'm reacting.
Yeah, you reintroduce. I mean, that's a good plan. My personal diet is first based around my allergies, and second, I try and eat things that are only from the ground, I guess you could say. So potatoes, I eat a lot. Those are my main carb source, sweet potatoes, white potatoes. I am fine with white potatoes. It's portion control. I do eat rice. I like brown rice. But I stay away from, I don't intentionally not eat gluten. I just tend not to. But like if me and my wife are gonna go out for dinner and we're gonna have, something, I'm gonna a burger, I'm gonna have bread is what I'm saying. But I'm okay with, the 80-20 rule. So 80% on, 20% off, as long as for me, I'm not, I stay on that. So 80-20 tends to lead to long-term success. So instead of trying to be perfect all the time, try and be perfect 80% of the time. And that gives you that 20% leeway to continue doing it as a lifestyle as opposed to a diet, because we don't want to diet.